Hello and welcome to this overnight taste challenge. We have two bourbon whiskey, sour mash bourbon whiskeys from the Sazerac Company. The first one is 10 High. Got some kind of fun. I'm going to go clean that up. 10 High, America's Native Spirit. 10 High sour mash. Kentucky bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. Oh boy. Introduced in 1934. This version has no age statement. This is the current version. It's no longer straight whiskey. It's no longer bourbon whiskey, a blend. It's bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. Yeah, $14.99 for this handle bottle at Total Wine and More. Now, this is Jethro T Boots, Kentucky straight sour mash bourbon whiskey, introduced in 2014. Aged, no age statement, and produced exclusively for CVS Pharmacy. And on the back, it's got a decal saying it should only be sold at CVS Pharmacy. If you see it anywhere else, call this number. All right. Let me go clean that up. I didn't get the glass bottle because still wet, because I wanted to get the handle that's cheaper per ounce. They were listing, wasn't much cheaper per ounce actually. They were listing the regular size bottle on the website, but then when I went to CVS, they didn't have it. So the only size I had was this, so I just bought it. Okay. The Boots is a lot lighter. You can see it's gold. And this thing is deep mahogany because it's probably got caramel color added. BC's Beer Reviews, OBC's Beer Reviews is watching. Let me see if I can. I don't like that. He says, good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, BC. Okay. Make sure I got my labels correct. Boots, well, it's kind of bland, you know. But what do you expect for $8.99? If you have the CVS card, it's $8.99. True story. Keep the lighting right. Oh well. See if I can fiddle with this a little bit. The 10 High, well, what kind of natural flavors are they adding? We don't know and we won't know, but I get the feeling it's something like vanilla. That's what the guy at the company told me on the phone. He said, I think it's vanilla. He said, but it's a proprietary blend of flavoring, so you're never going to know, right? You can guess. WC Beer Reviews. Good morning, Ron. Checking in. Good morning to you. All right, so let's check them out. We know that the Jethro T Boots CVS Pharmacy private brand does not have any coloring or flavoring added because it is a straight bourbon whiskey. And if you want to make sure your whiskey has no flavoring or coloring added, just get a straight bourbon. Or you can get a bottled and bond bourbon. And they will not have coloring or flavoring added. Now, this one, we know it has coloring. Oh, well, we don't know that. It could. We know it has flavoring added because it says bourbon with natural flavors. You say, well, they're cheating. Yeah, basically, you could say that. But then isn't that done with beer all the time? People say, "Oh, this imperial stout, it's amazing. It's got cocoa nibs, vanilla, milk, sugar, and coffee added to it." Well, it's flavoring, and some of them have they say artificial flavoring. Huh. Yes, which is made to mimic like fudge, like that Mackinac fudge stout. So, but then people say it's 100 out of 100. But which I was one of those people. I thought the Mackinac stout was awesome, but it wasn't a pure beer. It's not pure beer. It's got additive flavorings added. So if you want to call it a fake, let's be consistent across the board. I guess I'll go along with that. What would that beer taste like without the flavorings? Well, probably a lot less luxurious. Might be a good stout though. See, look at the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, no flavorings there, and think about how great that is. I'm not taking sides on this. You hear what I'm saying? I'm just talking about it. I'm not taking sides because I don't really care if it tastes good. Well, at least I like to know that it's got it added though, and in this case, I know that, so I feel a little bit more comfortable. Uh, Smells like wood. Lightly charred oak, wood, vanilla, corn. Makes sense. Bourbon is a corn liquor. So yeah, I mean, it just tastes like I hadn't tasted it. It smells like just standard bourbon. Now you might think you can't get a good bourbon for $8.99 a bottle with a CVS customer loyalty card. Well, yeah, you can. It's pretty good. It's nothing great, but it's not as bad as you might imagine it would be. You might think it'd just be terrible, for that price, but it isn't really so. It isn't so. This one smells all right, but it doesn't have a lot of. It's just bland. Like the aroma is just kind of muted. Like it's not a lot of aroma there. The aromas that are there are not bad. It's just kind of insufficient. Let's call it. Let's go with the taste. Cheers. Yeah, charred oak, vanilla, corn, bread, cornmeal, little sour mashed bagel, sourdough bagel like you get with these sour mash bourbons, like a little sourdough. Um, it tastes fine. Would I buy it again for $8.99? I mean, I would theoretically. I probably never will because I got so many I got to get through. But I mean, in a theoretical sense, I would. Yeah, I would recommend it if you're not too. I mean, just say, well, it's $8.99. Don't be too picky. I mean, why would you be that way? It's it has to be with that at that price. Okay, taste over here. A lot of corn, not a lot of charred oak, a little vanilla. I asked the guy on the phone at Buffalo Trace. I said, because that's where these are coming from, Buffalo Trace. Yeah, they don't talk about these on their website. I said, hey, why did they start adding flavoring? I'll start seeing all these Buffalo Trace items with flavoring added, whether it's tequila, rum, bourbon, um, Canadian whiskey, vodka, they all have that. He said, well, this was in 2022. So he said about 5 years ago, which would have been 2017. He was just guessing anyway. We don't know the exact date. He said, but about 5 years ago, they started adding natural flavors to all their low end products, his terminology. I think it's accurate. He said to smooth out the flavor, which I interpreted as meaning their low end products were probably kind of bitey and harsh as you would expect because they're real cheap, and they put that flavoring in to sort of, if you want to say, mask the nastiness to it and make it more appealing. I mean, yeah, well, that sounds sensible. And the people that are buying these things for $12.99 to $14.99 a handle, I don't think they're being too picky about it to start with. They probably never looked at the label to see if it had natural flavoring or not. And I did see one of their handles for $12.99 on Saturday. I think it was to the Gold Rum. I didn't buy it. Yeah, so this one tastes more authentic, like just bourbon, straight Kentucky sour mash bourbon. Nothing great, but certainly nothing bad. This one tastes like um, not a lot. It's got a little sugar water in it. You say, well, maybe that's the natural flavor, cane sugar. Well, it is natural. It's a flavor, so it would be a natural flavoring. Yeah, 10 high is just not flying too high. It's got to be the 10 high, so I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I got it right. Yes. So, if you want an authentic, cheap liquor, get the Jethro T boots. Now, you got to live in a state where CVS Pharmacy is allowed to sell liquor. I can't answer for other states. You see, in Louisiana, it's no problem. Go in and out, you got it. As long as you got the little. Well, you don't even need the card because if you remember your phone number, you can just type that in and you got it. $8.99. That was last year. Maybe the price went up. I don't know. But that's what I paid the 2 times I bought it, $8.99 for Kentucky straight bourbon sour mash whiskey. It's a winner. Now, compared to other bourbons, when I did the taste series with Jethro T Boots, or who was a real person, Jethro Titus Boots. But when I did the, I didn't say he was real or famous or anything. When I did the taste challenge series with that one, it fell flat. You see. So in this challenge, it has some good flavor. It's like, oh, that's a pretty nice bourbon. Yeah, but look what it's going up against. See, it's all, like I keep saying, relative. It's what you're comparing it to. On its own merits, it's fine. If you never tried another bourbon in your life, you might think it's really good. Once you start bringing it into taste challenges, it begins to fail. And that's been my experience with Jethro T Boots. It will fail in a comparative exercise. Now, it won today, or tonight, I mean to say tonight, this night, but look what it went up against. An even lower grade, and pretty much the lowest grade you're going to find. Do they have other flavored, do they have other bourbon whiskey with natural flavors and a handle for $14.99 at the stores? It's possible, but I haven't seen that. Okay, it's possible. I don't know. I haven't surveyed every store in America to know what they're, but really, the likelihood is not very good. So this is pretty much the lowest of the low on what you can get. Now I have the Royal Bourbon from Heaven Hill, same thing, bourbon with natural flavors, but that was a little more expensive. It was $7.99 a bottle, not six, whatever they had it for at Total Wine, $6.85. So you're probably not going to find a handle of that for $14.99. But but that's the way it is. I know somebody's probably going to say, "Oh, you screwed up because bourbon." I read the Tax and Trade Bureau guidelines. Bourbon cannot have flavoring added or coloring added. That's not actually true. Yeah, you're right. It can't have coloring added or flavoring added unless it's restated on the label. And that's what, now they couldn't just sell this. Okay, so yeah, your point is correct if you say they couldn't take 10 high and sell it as bourbon and add coloring without saying anything. You're right, that would be illegal and they could get in trouble. But they can sell it like this, and they're saying it right here on the label. It's a disclosure. You can see it. Now, if you don't want it, don't buy it. It's saying bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. It's allowed in that case. And now the Kentucky Tavern has that on there, which used to be straight bourbon, but it's no longer. So if you said, well, I don't like that idea, well, all you had to do, if you went to court, the judge would say, all you had to do is put it back on the shelf. That would be the whole case. Were you forced to buy it? No. Or they might say, well, did you read the label? Well, no. Well, you should read the label. That's all. The court would say, well, read the label. It says right there. The judge would say, it says right there, bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. Can't you see that? It's not microscopic print. It's there. It's not flashing across the label, but any reasonable person could look at that and make their consumer decision. Now you might try to go to court and say, 1879. I did my research. 10 High didn't come out till 1939. They tricked me. I thought this was from 1879. But then they'd get away with that by saying, well, we weren't implying that but actually they are, but they would say, we weren't implying that it was from 1879. You know, anyone who did a little research would find out that it's Hiram Walker Whiskey Company that was been around since 1879. Now you'd have more of a case there because it doesn't say Hiram Walker anywhere on here. And how many consumers are going to go research that? You know, not too many. I did, but even though the judge would still probably say, well, nobody cares about that. You know, it's it's like a frivolous thing. But it's not a tort. You know, it's not like you were damaged. You bought it. So yeah, your only recourse there is to your only recourse is to don't buy it. You know, would I buy it again? I told you I wouldn't buy it again. Does it taste okay? It's just a drink. I mean, yeah, if you want a 40% alcohol drink with no age statement, so we know the whiskey is at least 4 years old. Doesn't mean much. But it tastes like sugar water. Okay, so if you have this thing in your mind and you want to drink a 40% alcohol liquor that tastes like sugar water and you happy with that, fine, buy it. I wouldn't recommend it. I gave it like a B- when I reviewed it because it is, like marginally good. But as a bourbon, I mean, it ain't happening, But anyway, it's no big great damage. It's no big tragedy. Birds having flown. Good morning, sir. Spring is near. I know. It's going to get cold again this weekend in Louisiana, and I say that in a sense like cold, meaning 42 degrees at night. But it was 83 yesterday. It's going to be 83 today, I think. So spring has sprung. All right. Well, thanks for watching this. This didn't prove much, but it was, I guess, interesting to an extent. And then we're going to go up against another Sazerac brand. Because I want to do Sazerac family first. Oh, Stedman Select. It's a 3-year age, 86 proof sour mash Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I bought it at Walmart, but it's around. Total Wine has it a lot of times when they have it in stock. I got the huge glass handle. You can find smaller bottles. It's the same as the benchmark bottle. No website listing for it for whatever reason. But it'll destroy 10 High. 10 High got no chance. No chance. $14.99 versus $19.99. It's worth the $5. Believe me. Believe me, you. Believe you, me. Bye-bye, everybody.